I'm eating a giant cup full of generic ice cream because I think that that's the only sensible thing that one can do in this situation. So, the Republican Congress just passed completely destructive cuts to essential programs that someone, either you or someone you love, needs to be okay. In addition, Republicans who used to say that they were very concerned about the deficit and didn't want to have national debt expanded the debt ceiling to over 4 trillion by over $4 trillion so that they could pay for these massive tax cuts. They do this because they know they're not going to get the money back, right? Like the lie they used to tell was that it was trickle down, right? Like if you gave tax cuts to people that were wealthy, that would lead to the creation of jobs and businesses and whatever. And then now everybody knows that's a lie. They keep the money, they hoard the money, which is why there didn't used to be billionaires and now there's 800 of them, right? The millionaires figured out that if they were completely ruthless, heartless, amoral, and exploitative on a grand scale, they could become billionaires, so they did. And then they realized that they could further profit from our pain by soaking up all of our public dollars, burning them, destroying them, doing whatever the hell they wanted to do with them, and then betting on us failing, right? Billionaires benefited from the Great Recession in 2008, 2009. Billionaires benefited from the COVID pandemic, in which we watched our loved ones die on Zoom. And benefit they will of this from this catastrophe that we're in today, right? So thousands of veterans are being fired. Agencies meant to support people who are seniors, folks with disabilities, folks who are sick, who need care, anyone who has, like me, I have special needs children. Everyone is getting hit. Everyone everywhere is getting hit by this in a way that's bad, unpleasant, and disgusting. And while all of this is happening, while they are destroying everything they can, sucking up everything they can, under the fictive vision, I guess they think that they're going to live on Mars once they've burned up the entire Earth and ruined it, because the rest of us are literally on fire, drowning in floods, destroyed by hurricanes, displaced by famine, everything rapidly unraveling for all of us. And they assume that they can pay off people to, I guess, get them to Mars or whatever the hell they think they can do. They live in an alternative universe, a gated universe, a separate reality from the rest of us. The White House decided today that they were not going to let reporters into the White House that the press decided. So normally the New York Times would decide, oh, we're going to send this reporter to the White House, or ABC News would decide, oh, we're going to send this reporter to the White House. Now the White House gets to decide what reporters come to the White House. So Congress people prove that they don't care what their constituents want because they went along with Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump said, if you don't go along with me, I'm going to run someone against you and you're going to lose your job. So Congress people proved that they have no spine, no honor, no worth in the Republican majority. It doesn't matter what their constituents want. It doesn't matter how many people visited their offices, like people from People's Action did today. People from all across the country have been doing, people that went to town halls. They didn't care about what their constituents wanted. They didn't listen to their voters. They didn't care about their constituents. They only cared about billionaires, Donald Trump, and corporations. Pure corruption, right? Then to help kind of package this up nicely, you will remember that TikTok, this app, bent the knee to Trump on day one. Facebook and Instagram and Meta have decided that they're going to do it with fact checkers and they're just going to let things run wild. Twitter, that used to be a place in which you could learn about breaking news. Twitter, the place that organized, Occupy Wall Street, the Green Revolution, and all of the sort of movements of that period. Now that place is a cesspool full of white supremacist hate, AI-generated bots, pornography. There's nothing left, right? So everything is being taken away, eviscerated, and bent. So there's no actual journalists that are allowed to go to the White House to report on this administration. The social media that we often use to stay informed is now being gamed by the by the billionaires that own these social media platforms. The things that we depend on to live, like Medicaid, and veterans benefits, and special education benefits that my kids rely on, all of those things gone for the sake of Elon Musk was $441 billion to become the first trillionaire, and Jeff Bezos and all the other billionaires who do not give a fuck about any of us because they don't think that they are the same as us. They believe in something better, that they are better than us, the next evolution of us, and that only they get to survive once the earth is burned into a cinder. All of this stuff is happening. It's all very bad. It's all disheartening. It's all heartbreaking. And then those of us who are immigrants also got to watch today. Trump signed an executive order in which he said that he's going to sell green cards. He's going to call it the gold card. If you pay $5 million, you get a green card. After all of that shit, for all of those years and all of those decades about waiting in line and following the process and this, that, and the other, they are confirming and they are making it very, very clear that there was no line, that there is no process, that the fact is that it's a joke. It's a fucking joke. They used to believe, at least some part of their own bullshit, that the American dream really was people come here, they come here the air quotes right way, they start from nothing and they work up from nothing. Like literally everyone I grew up with, like listening to them talk about how they used to, their grandfather came from Italy or whatever. Like everybody used to say this fucking story about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and like making it in the American dream. And now they don't even want to stand by their bullshit anymore. They're just going to be like, actually, you can buy your way. There is no line. You just buy your way. You get to buy your way into all the powers and privileges of being a permanent resident of the United States, which also means you basically get to buy your way into citizenship. This is all happening at the same time because we no longer actually have two different sets of ideas that are competing. We no longer actually have well-meaning people that want to see the same thing happen, but are sort of disagreeing about what the way is to get there, right? We used to have that. We used to have libertarians that used to say they wanted all the freedoms. They wanted to, fuck whoever they wanted to fuck and smoke whatever they wanted to smoke, but they just didn't want to pay taxes to do it, right? And that was a legitimate disagreement that we could have. We could talk about that. We could talk about having freedom. And if that freedom was free from the responsibility of being part of a social contract in which we had to pay to support one another and maintain a safety net and create opportunity and invest in people and do things like create public universities, like that's a good debate to have. That's a legitimate and fair debate to have. There are people who are actually, again, people I remember from my life that truly believed and worked and gave their life, blood, sweat, and tears to like this strong, conservative faith tradition. And I didn't see eye to eye with them because I am not a conservative man of faith. I'm a progressive person of faith. And so we have big arguments about what the fuck Jesus actually was talking about, because I think it's pretty fucking clear when he's giving the Sermon on the Mount that he's not saying, be shitty to people. I think he's saying, where the pain is, that's where I am. Where people are suffering, that's where I am. So my faith revolves around that. It doesn't revolve around oppressing people and taking away rights and taking away freedoms and being prudish. But there are people that used to really, truly believe that. And they used to be rooted around that. And you could respect that at least because they had something that was truly part of them. None of that shit is real anymore. And we have to be willing to get really punk rock and really fucking hip hop about this in the original version of those terms. We have to fight back in analog ways and in new ways and in bigger and more aggressive ways because they don't believe anything, those who have the power. We do. So we have to fight like we fucking still believe in shit.